Gonna talk about world hunger because I have this app on my phone that I can't remove. It's just part of having a Metro phone, I guess, or Metro plan, whatever. And they sort of force you to see like a news thing, and it was about world hunger because of the crisis of war in Ukraine. It's saying that it's going. It's saying millions are going to go hungry. It's like millions. And it's not funny, but millions aren't going to go hungry. They're going to die of starvation. And I mean, I've learned some dark stuff recently about starvation, like in Afghanistan. Uh, America apparently has sanctions against Afghanistan as well because the Taliban's there, or no, not Taliban, Al Qaeda, whichever. And yeah, so we gave them a shitload of weapons. Uh, America did, and now we're sanctioning them, and their people are starving to the point to where, like, someone will have say 5 kids, and it's like, well, they're all gonna die of starvation, and we're gonna die too, because we literally have no money and no way of getting food. So they'll sell a kid, or they'll sell a kidney, and get like $400, which I don't know probably puts food on the table for like a month or two. Uh, I mean, this is like the tip of the iceberg, though. I guess one thought I've been having a lot to go with that, and like there's like a problem with people getting too much money that don't really deserve it, like celebrities. Um, just like yeah, they put in the work, but they're not actually helping anybody. And what they do with their money is like disgusting, which it's celebrated. Like we're supposed to celebrate the rich because they're our new masters. So that's why celebrities can spend like wow, my brain's getting flooded with a whole bunch of dark shit. That's why celebrities can buy fucking a purse that is like 10 grand, and there's one designer that actually like got a child spine. It was supposed to be ethically sourced from like a Canadian, some Canadian thing. Like he like the kid died from osteoporosis or some shit like that. I don't know if it was that. Don't make sense because the died from something, but it might have been that. It might have been they might have taken the kid's spine because oh we want to study the bones, and then that's just like people are paying like for paying like $500 to go see a guy dissected because his body got donated to science, and then it ended up in some sort of freak show like and this is just like people like this is it's just like sick like I guess the worst case though before I remembered that horrible story about the designer that made the purse for rich people, and he's rich because he has a cult following too, people that just like worship him and follow his every move. There was some lady in the UK that does OnlyFans, and she was like auctioning off like it was things like 15,000 pounds she got up to or something like that. Uh, like not pounds weight, but pounds dollars, $15,000 basically, but more. And because she was pregnant, and she was really like that's really sick. Um, Using that to just but the final thing that she auctioned was like, oh, I'm gonna give birth and I'm gonna like stream it, and if you want to watch it, like I'm gonna auction that off. So someone paid, like let's say 15,000, so that they can basically like jerk off their like that's just fucked up, and it's additionally fucked up because that's like 30 kidneys of people like selling their kidneys and not in poor countries. Um, but people in America don't really like. It's really superficial their care about other places. Really, really superficial. Like we really dehumanize anyone that we perceive to be the enemy. like Russia, which is like we think we're so much better than Russia, but really we're like about the same as far as like they have food shortages, sure, but we have food shortages here too. Like there's no difference. We're all playing the same game, and it's like the food stamps. Like people think that's just gonna go on forever. Like this whole system's set to collapse. Once people like lose their food stamps and they're like I get so many different mental images. Once people lose their food stamps and then the food banks start running out, and I seen this when I was in Toronto because they have really good food bank system, but it was getting really taxed because all of a sudden it wasn't just homeless people or people with like no income showing up or very limited income. It was like not everybody, but a lot of people were showing up, and it was like really taxing the food bank system during the pandemic. And it's gonna, I mean, it's biblical, but a lot of people don't believe in the Bible, so. But in that sense, it's also common sense. But I think we're so blinded by our hubris, like, oh, America's number one. Oh, people are worried about America because like we got like baby food shortages and all that shit, and it's like how much of it's artificial, nobody knows. And I came from a poor family, so I wasn't I got dealt with the foster care system for a while. Then I like went to a different part of my family that was more middle class, not upper middle class, not like fucking poor to where it's like, well, are we eating today? I don't know. So a lot of people haven't dealt with that. I deal with that kind of like semi regularly. Uh, Shit sucks, but it's gonna get a lot worse. Another thing is like we throw away and waste so much food. I remember like there's events that are like that'd be like Thanksgiving events, uh, and people like we demonize like I go on about drugs a lot because like I like doing drugs. Sure, I like doing all sorts of fucked up drugs. I'll smoke crack. I don't give a fuck. But how are you gonna tell me that's bad when you're like literally like 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 a fucking zombie like just tearing into like pounds and pounds of food and then throwing away pounds and pounds of food. We're about to have like a world hunger crisis. Like, and I'm not even saying like drugs do a lot of damage to people because people don't know how to handle them because they're not allowed to explore, or there's no like counseling available. It's just throw the person in jail or, well, they just do the. I mean, I don't know if it's typically a typical American or a typical Western thing. It's probably typical a lot of places, but from my experience, I know about the West. So there's a there's like a demonization, but through that demonization, there's a glorification of everything that's not demonized. So like the pursuit of profit over all else, or hoarding, like having 10 mansions, like we just like look up to that, like, oh, worship, like this is like the era of fucking Satan. I don't mean like Anton LaVey Satanism from like the 1960s or 1970s. I was probably 1980s. It was a big satanic scare and stuff. I'm not talking about like that shit. Like they have a lot of interesting, neat things to say. I'm not talking about that kind of Satanism. I'm talking about like the fucking. It's not even the elite Satanism. It's just the general debauchery and hedonism and shit. Like of like, no. It's blindness. It's stupidity. Like one of the rules actually of the Satanism from like it's not real Satanism. It's just they just put it that way just to piss people off kind of thing. But it's like stupidity should be painful kind of thing. Like yeah, and we're gonna suffer that on a mass scale as the famines hit. I mean, the another aspect of that is like I was reading the lake, Salt Lake is drying up, so like the climate change is actually happening. That's, I mean, it's natural. We're accelerating it. One effect of it is Russia is gonna like vastly improve. It's its land. It's all tundra and frozen, and its northern sea that's all frozen and usable. It's gonna become usable, and the West hates that idea that like that our land's gonna become more arid and hotter and more difficult to live in. And Canada's probably be pretty well off too. Canada's probably gonna benefit from it too. But America does not want that. America wants to be number one above all else. But America's gonna be fucked because like so many people are on food stamps, and then I'm just kind of like just trying. I'm trying to keep it on topic, but I'm also jumping around a lot. But with food stamps, oh man, like the culture of just like buying like fuck tons of like junk food, like it's just such a waste. Like I remember when I was a kid, Focus Hope. Like oh man, that was a shit. Like we got Focus Hope. It had like these big ass bars of cheese, and I like I can't quite remember how else, but the boxes were like just plain white boxes, like nothing on them or anything. It was just like here's food. Oh, there was the cans of juice and stuff, like big old cans. I have to use a little pop thing, a little whatever. It's like a triangle, and to open them up. And we'd have to walk like a couple miles to go get that shit and put it in a backpack. So I remember walking with my mom. We walked all the way up there, and I'd go up there to help her carry back food, and we'd walk all the way back. And I mean, that's what got us through a lot of times. But times have changed, and now it's like cashless society. And a lot of people aren't gonna know, like, and then people got storages of food. But what happens when you're displaced? Like, what happens when you're like a refugee or the nukes start coming? Which, like, it's kind of like humans like karma. That's like karma. Is when the nukes fall. There's, I mean, as well how we treat animals too. Like, okay, you don't give a fuck of animals, but still, like putting them all in big ass mass factories and then pumping them full of antibiotics that just breed like antibiotic resistant bacteria. Like we deserve this karma, but a lot of people don't deserve it, and they're the ones that are going to be suffering the most at first. Like having to like sell kidneys and shit, while you know people fucking throw thousands of dollars on OnlyFans and porn. Like that shit should be wiped off the face of the earth. Oh man, it is what it is though, and we're gonna it's gonna come to us sooner or later.